Welcome to the Leader Impact Podcast. We are a community of leaders with a network in over 350 cities around the world, dedicated to optimizing our personal, professional, and spiritual lives to have impact. This show is where we have a chance to listen and engage with leaders who are living this out. We love talking with leaders, so if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions to make this show even better, please let us know. The best way to stay connected in Canada is through our newsletter at leaderimpact.ca or on social at LeaderImpact. And if you're listening from outside of Canada, check out our website at leaderimpact.com. I'm your host, Lisa Peters, and our guest today is Jacqueline Clements. Jacqueline is the national TV host of Legacy Makers with Jacqueline, a storyteller and communicator who helps people navigate seasons of change with wisdom and hope. She and her husband of 37 years co-own TCF4 Productions, a media company dedicated to meaningful, purpose-driven, life-inspired storytelling. A mother to 2 grown sons and a grandmother to 7, she is currently in development of her upcoming book, Becoming. Jacqueline believes deeply in the power of story and the strength of kindness, and she holds this motto close: you are never too old or too young to start something new. Welcome to the show, Jacqueline.
Oh, Lisa, thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here with you. And I just can't believe we get to spend the next little bit together.
I know. I'm going to tell our guests the last time we met, we met at another conference where I was the facilitator. You were on my panel. And I'm a really tall woman. I'm 6 feet. You are not. And I was sitting down and Jacqueline walks up and I get up. And I think you flew backwards. You were like, oh my, and then you looked at my shoes and then you laughed and then you apologized. I had to tell that. It was this moment I'll never forget. And I loved it. And we laughed and we'll be best friends forever.
Oh my goodness. Lisa, I had forgotten until you just started telling that story. And I'm like, those are moments as we talk about my story that just keep me humble.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. And I probably had even heels on, so I was 6'2". And so anyway, thank you.
I turned to my husband and said, I think I have height envy with Lisa.
Oh, that's funny. It was an awesome day. So it was just a fantastic day. So thanks for joining us and being part of this. I've thought about you many times, so I'm excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about legacy, and I know you do on your show. You are Legacy Makers with Jacqueline. So I want to hear a bit, we're going to get into that when we end, but a little bit about your professional story. How did you get to where you are today? And really, we're kind of looking for that pivotal moment of the journey. So love to hear about it.
Yeah, I'm so happy to tell you my story. I stepped onto the stage when I was 3 years old with my family. We had a touring music group, and I've been telling stories ever since then. That early love for performing on stage has carried me to acting events and live events, and even, you're going to laugh, even a short-lived modeling career. Yeah, they liked me until they realized I wasn't growing anymore. Heights have limits, but I'm so thankful that purpose doesn't.
Yeah, good one.
Oh, you talk about those pivotal, maybe those key turning moments. And I have a couple in my life, and one major turning point came. I chose when we first got married to be a stay-at-home mom, a full-time stay-at-home mom, and there's no regrets in my life over that. And it was a decision I made with joy. And, I did work to help, supplement our income, of course, but when I went to work, it was always at a time when my husband was going to be home with our children, because family was such a huge priority to us, and it still is. But, through the years of my children growing, and I homeschooled for 5 years or so, and we did a cross-country move. We uprooted everything. And, all through that, we were able to get our boys to graduate successfully from grade 12, and we were so happy. But, Lisa, I found myself at that moment. I was standing in the kitchen. I'll never forget the place where I was. And I was standing there and I just said, now what, God? I felt so lost.
I
And
feel that.
yeah, right? A
Yeah.
lot of moms do when they've come through different seasons in their life and they're like, it's changing. Now what? And I just remember that the Lord, through that, God, He just brought me back into the entertainment world. And that moment of surrender when I was in the kitchen and saying, now what, God? That became the doorway to a whole new chapter in my life. And so, that was one key pivotal moment, key turning point in my life. And then there was another one. In 2012, my husband Bill and I, we launched our media company. Excuse me. And we produced two independent shows that eventually aired on Prime Video, and they went around the world on different platforms. It was kind of crazy. It was all, back then when you just didn't even know. We just didn't know what we were doing. Like, it was just great. God was so good. And as those projects wrapped up, we took quite a break from production and we just focused on family and we focused on other responsibilities that we had. And then came COVID. And that was another turning point. Bill's company, the one that he co-owned, was significantly impacted. And like so many people during that time, we had to pivot. And, we all know, like, that was the word of that season, was pivot. And during that time, on either side of COVID, we produced 5 different music videos and spoken word videos. And that really helped us ease back into production and rebuild our creative rhythm, which was so, so helpful. Those groups were just so gracious towards us, and we had a lot of fun, made some good memories. And then after COVID happened, uh, we stepped back into media full time. I stepped back in full time, and then Bill continually was helping me. And then his time just grew and grew and grew. And now we do this full time. And we produced 6 TV shows, and they're all but one have aired nationally or internationally now. And we do this work together, and we're happy. We're truly happy working together. And Bill directs the shows, and he comes alongside, and we produce it together. And I know this is not the topic that we're talking about today, but it is a topic maybe for another time. But the whole topic of husband and wives working together, how do you work with your spouse, and do you still love your spouse? And at the end of the day, it's more about, do you still like your spouse, right? It's a hot topic, and it's a hot topic in our world with Bill and I, because we are asked that so many times. But like I said, it's for like
Yeah,
another podcast
I think
interview
so.
perhaps. But, just getting back to that pivotal moment, that journey of rebuilding our creative rhythm opened the door to Legacy Makers with Jacqueline. And the national talk show that I host is where I sit down with leaders and the change makers who are living with present purpose and future hope. And it gives me so much joy. I'm inspired, and I know our guests are too, and our viewers, right? Another thing that I do behind the scenes is I serve as an executive producer on almost all the media that we create, and that helps us see what's possible. You know, Lisa, every chapter, I started with age 3, and now I'm where I'm at right now. And every stage, whether that was on stage with my family at 3, motherhood, reinvention, because I've reinvented myself, I don't know how many times now, and to national television, all of this has been helping me find my voice. It's been helping me share my story, and it's been helping me to lead with intention. And of course, it helps other people along the way.
Yeah. I love your story, and I love just the understanding all the stages have allowed you to find your voice. Like, I can resonate with that, and I'm sure people listening can. I wanna know, when you, I think it was you had homeschooled your kids, and you're at this point, I think the kids are maybe off to school, and you're sitting in your kitchen, and you're like, "Now what, God?" And
Mm.
there's been a few of those with COVID and the transitions. What was that moment like for you? I know what I found, all of a sudden this very calm came over me. Like, COVID was a big one. It's like, now what, God? But it was a calm. what were you like? Were you nervous at that point when you realized I have to create a life here? Like my kids are gone. My home's,
Mhm.
I got to create something. What was that feeling of looking up and, or, just now what?
Yeah. That was such a humbling moment for me. I knew exactly what I was going to do for 20 years. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was going to raise my children. And I always believed when they were very young that I wasn't just teaching and raising my children, I was teaching and raising my grandchildren, because the lessons I would teach my children, hopefully they would resonate. They would receive them as their own, and they would teach their grandchildren. So I was always thinking about the next gen. But then I found myself in the kitchen and I'm like, uh, uh, I don't know. God, I don't know. I've taken myself out of the workplace uh, industry situations. I don't even know where to go. I don't know
Yeah.
what to start. I don't know that there was a moment of calm. I think it was so humbling to me. Um, There were lots of tears because what I didn't know then that I know now, of course,
Yeah.
hindsight, is that I was about to reinvent myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that moment of scared, excitement, courage. Um, was I gonna fail? The world was my oyster. Oh, wait, but I'm married and I have a life. I do have a life. I'm not single. There were so many emotions for me. Uh, I just, I think deeply. I think deeply about many things. I'm such an intentional person. So, um, the next step wasn't just an impulse. It was really by intention.
Yeah. And I'm just going to comment, motions maybe change daily.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some days you
yeah,
are on fire and
absolutely.
some days it's tough. So thank you for answering that. I think some
Mhm.
people look at you, Jacqueline, and it looks easy. You look great now,
Oh,
right? We think that when we look at people, but we
I
don't
do.
realize we were standing in our kitchen and we were humbled. We have cried, so just thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that part of the journey. Um,
Oh, yeah, of course.
yeah. So we're going to move on to best principle of success. If you have one, I'm sure you do. And tell us a story that might
Mm.
illustrate that.
Yeah, I know you've asked for one principle of success, but I'm gonna give you 2. Um, One of my core principles of success is this, and I just mentioned it, was lead with intention, not impulse. I can be spontaneous and I can be fun and I love a good joke and I love being with people, absolutely. But 90% of what I do and how I think is intentional. And I think deeply about the rooms that I walk into and the people I'm going to be with and the impact that I want to leave behind. That is so, so important to me. And, speaking of rooms, pardon me, I've spent enough time in those rooms to know that you can't rush, that there's reacting, that there's protecting, there's a self-protective stance that happens in those rooms, and so kindness. I look at it, I take a step back and I look at it and I think kindness. Kindness is another principle of success for me. And it sounds simple, but kindness asks more of us than we really realize. We live in an unkind world, right, Lisa? Like it is not a kind world, and that right there, that moment, that means that it gives us opportunities to be kind every day, and those opportunities they really set us apart. And it opens doors. It can open doors to conversations, but it can also just make somebody feel for a moment that they are seen and they are valued. Just in that one small, simple moment of kindness, you open a door, you help them pick something up, you push their cart. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but that is truly one of my principles of success. Kindness asks us to slow down, to truly see people, and to respond with intention, like I've mentioned, rather than impulse. And there's also a part of listening. And Lisa, you and I, we have this unique opportunity to interview people where we have been able to work at listening, and we do that a lot. But listening is such a dying art. It just, not everybody knows how to listen because
Yeah.
they don't have people that listen to them. And so if you want to understand people, as I circle back to the success, if you want to understand people, encourage them, leave an impact by listening. Be willing to pause
Mhm.
long enough to hear them and to be kind and to be intentional. So those are just a couple of my
Yeah.
professional success moments.
And, in our industry, I remember when I first started, and it was, I think, 12 or 13 years ago with the talk show. um, I had to learn to listen. I had to learn to focus in and not be worried about the next question. Like, what am I going to
Mm,
ask next? Like, I was always concerned, and I knew, and I had to, I really had to focus on my listening skills. So I love that. And I talk about that and kindness, being kind to someone can be so simple, but we are, as you said, an unkind world. We are not connected anymore.
it's
As I'm
true.
holding up my phone, we've got warriors who will come at us on Facebook or any social media. And
Yeah.
they don't see you face to face. Would they say that to you? But they can come at you online. And we are in that industry where people can do that. Um, but in
Mm,
saying that, I don't think you do. I don't get a lot of people doing that because I don't do that to anyone. I'm kind, you know? And so
yeah.
you talk about legacy. That's the legacy you're leaving is you're very kind. And you've raised your children to
Mm,
raise your grandchildren. I just love your
mm.
story.
Oh, thank you,
Resonating.
Lisa. Thank
So
you.
we're going to move this to failures because I think we know we learn more from our own failures than our successes. And I'm wondering if you
Mm.
have something you could share, a failure or a mistake, and what you learned in it.
You know, this question about failure and mistakes, um, I just have way too many. That's the truth of it. I have way more than success, and I was trying to think how can I explain, how can I pick one? So what I've done is, I've kind of wrapped it into one little box and, put a bow on it to say that one of my biggest failures was believing that I was greater than I was.
Mm,
It wasn't intentional, it was subtle. You know, some of us, not everybody, but some are taught not to think of yourself greater than you are. But looking back, I can see moments where I've walked into rooms with the wrong posture, and it was a huge fail, huge. And it taught me more than any success could ever teach me, truly. Staying humble has really become one of the important lessons of my life. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's just thinking of yourself less.
yeah.
And it's choosing to build others up, to encourage them, to leave them better than when you found them. I've learned that real leadership isn't about being the most impressive person in the room because truly, there is always going to be somebody better, more well spoken, looks better, has a better world, more money than you in the room. So to me, it's about being grounded. It's about being self grounded. It's about being secure with who you are, who you've been created with. And in that groundedness is where the security comes. that you can walk into the room and you don't have to be the best at everything. You can stay humble, still hold the proper posture that you need because you have been gifted things that you are in charge of and to take care of. And so there is a posture, but it's remaining humble within that posture.
Yeah.
I just, that is so, so truly important to me.
Yeah.
And recognizing that and coming face to face with that in my world has really shifted things in my job, in my relationships, in my home, really how I show up every day in the world.
And I think if people are listening going, yeah, well, I'm not in media, I'm not all over the TV. I think that, and I just feel this when you get a promotion and all of a sudden you're the lead or you're the president, CEO, or whatever that, and you walk into a room and you're like, I'm all that, people, no, you're not. You were one of us yesterday. So humbling that. So I'm going to ask you, when you walked into a room, okay, first, how long have you been back in media? Like, how many years are we talking? Are we 20 years?
I would say in total, I've been in media about 14 to 15 years.
Okay. So when you came back, you might have had that, walking into rooms bigger than who you think you are. How long has it been that you've been humbled, that you kind of walk in and your heart has changed, your position? Was it right away, or did it take time? Because I think people want to bask in, I'm the president, I'm the host, Did it happen right away for you, or was it?
No, it didn't. No, I wish it had. That would have just been so much
Yeah.
easier for me. But some lessons are just hard and you just have to learn them. You just have to
Yeah.
learn them by walking in pride and ego and
Yeah.
nobody really likes those things.
No, no, we don't.
They
Yeah.
really don't.
Yeah.
And so I think trying to um create isn't the right word, but to continue to be open to being molded into this person that is humble and um, honored
Yeah.
and feels like life is really a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You don't have to be in media to figure that out. You can be the chancellor of a university. You can be a beauty pageant winner. You can be an engineer that was just given this huge job. You could be Thomas Edison. You could be all these things, but truly it's the state and posture of your heart. And people see that. People are crying out for authenticity. They want somebody who is real with them, and to put on the facade and to put on that, I got it.
Yeah.
I make way more than you do, or yeah, I know this person. People just don't like that. They just don't. They
Oh,
just don't.
good answer. Yeah. I feel that. I have been
Mm.
humbled. And
Mm.
and not that anybody did it to me, but I realized the communication was not. And so I realized how much I was maybe being a little too big for my bridges, and the moment you kind of just come down and go and listen and see them across the table from you. It was, yeah. So,
I had a boss tell me over and over, "Stay humble,
okay.
stay humble." And
Sometimes
I
we
was
need
like,
that.
I think it was probably, I don't know, the 6th or 7th time he said it. Sometimes, Lisa, just on a side note, sometimes I'm a little slow to get to the table,
Mhm.
but I always manage to get to the table.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it." There's a verse that I love, and it says, "Be careful how you stand lest you fall."
Hmm. Yeah.
And, that is always, always in my mind. Be
Yeah.
careful how you fall
Yeah.
because you could fall.
Yeah.
I mean, be careful how you
How you
stand
stand.
because you could fall.
Yeah. All right. So
All right.
a next question. At Leader Impact, we want to grow professionally, personally, and spiritually for increasing impact. So we're wondering if you're willing to share an example how the spiritual makes a practical difference in your life as a leader.
Yeah, my faith is really, really important to me. And faith shows up in how I see people and how I make decisions. It's not loud. It's not performative. It's really a quiet work of asking for wisdom in those moments before I step into the room or before I have a conversation or before I make a decision. It's for me, it's the place that nobody sees. It's the place
Mhm.
where leadership is actually formed. It's what happens behind the scenes that matters to me. And I try to lead with the understanding that every person has a divine purpose and was created with unique gifts and abilities. And part of my calling is to help people, to help draw that out of people, to see what God has placed in them and to encourage them and to help them to be courageous to step forward, even if it's 1%, just 1%. I've talked with ladies just recently and they've had different questions. And I'm like, just start. Just start. It's okay. It's okay if you don't make it, but just take a step. And we've talked about posture, and my faith really shapes that posture that I want to lead from, which is encouraging other women. That desire to grow in wisdom and stature, and to have favor with the people that you're working with, and to have favor with God, of course. We've talked so much about humility, but that pursuit that keeps me humble. It reminds me that I'm still learning, I'm still growing. I'm not there yet. I haven't achieved it. I'm still being shaped. And all those influences, all that influences how I lead and how I listen and how I show up in the room with the people that need more help or needs a smile or they need that listening ear. It's about not being hurried, because I know that I can't be hurried sometimes in my growth. It takes step by step in my growth. And, my faith, it keeps me centered and it keeps me intentional and it keeps me anchored in something that's greater than I am, greater than myself. And I've already alluded to it, but the truth is I'm still becoming. I'm still evolving. If I was the same as I was a month ago or a year ago, boy, it's not about the people that are around me. It's about me. I need to take a look at me because we should always be growing. And my faith really helps in my leadership, and my faith helps truly in all areas, all aspects of my life. It helps me to lead well. It helps me to love well. It helps me to listen well. And it truly reminds me that my growth is ongoing and I haven't achieved it yet. But what I really like is that, it also puts a smile on my face to help me get through the day. And a cup of coffee doesn't hurt either.
That is it. So for anyone who doesn't, I was just thinking, for anyone who doesn't know your show, Legacy Makers, just give a quick synopsis about it so we can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, so our show Legacy Makers, it airs nationally every week on the network Yes TV, and it is about I get the privilege and the honor of interviewing. I get the privilege of interviewing leaders and change makers in their community, in their cities, in the province, in the country, and those that actually have been doing huge changes around the world. So I get to interview and listen to stories of people that are musicians, are doctors, are CEOs of nonprofit, of young people that have done this amazing thing already. And they're like, yeah, I am leaving a legacy because I'm intentional about what I'm doing. I get to be with these people on our show that are just truly living with present purpose, with a desire for a future hope for those that are walking behind them.
Yeah. Um, that sounds amazing. Because I love the question of legacy, and that just leads right
Mm.
into my next question about, Leader
Okay.
Impact is dedicated to leaders leaving a lasting impact. So as you continue to move through this amazing journey of transition and media and wherever you're going, have you considered what you want your faith legacy to be when you leave this world?
Yeah, I really have. When we started this show, I just knew I wanted a legacy, and I knew that it included the next gen and the next gen and the next gen, but I really wanted to really dive down into it. And my faith legacy isn't about accomplishments. It's about foundation. And my faith has always been the most important thing to me. It has been the anchor that I return to all the time. It's the lens that I look through and the steady place that carries me through every season. And I have just been through so many different seasons in my life and reinventions, and it has kept me steady and grounded. My faith legacy, I hope and believe that my grandchildren will hear the things that I've done and the shows we've created and the people we've met, but more than anything, I want them to say she loved God the most. If that's what they remember, then I've lived my life well. If it's just for that sentence in those 7 grandchildren and those great grandchildren, then it's all been
Yeah.
worth it. All been worth it.
And I think, when we talk about legacy, you mentioned it, it's being intentional right now. Like, what are you doing
Mhm.
right now? Because we
Absolutely.
could pass this world tomorrow, and how are we gonna be remembered? Like, so be intentional today, we
Absolutely.
never
We're
know.
not guaranteed today
Yeah,
even.
right. Yeah,
And so what are you doing? And if you haven't thought about it, then it's okay. But now's the chance. Now's the time.
you're still here.
Yeah, start now.
Yeah,
1%. Take a
yeah,
step. I I pray so much about the posture that I have because I want to have that posture of wisdom and to have that stature and to have favor with the people that I'm working with. And that's what I want to model. Not just to my family and my grandchildren, but to those that I have the opportunity to interact with.
yeah,
And I want people to see that there is something greater than themselves.
yeah.
And
I
yeah.
I want to circle back to, because this, as I really only came back to my faith, when after I got married, and that was like 32. So a lot of people talked about heart posture, or the posture of your heart, and I
Mm,
struggled with that. I'm like, what does that even mean? But you brought it to, when you walk into a room. You can clear me on this, but when you walk into a room, the posture of my heart is kindness and love and patience. Is that what you mean? Because I think people are listening and going, what does she mean by that? So I
yeah.
want you to go back to that for a moment, because I love that, because we sometimes, we rushed into the room and we've got an interview to do, or we've rushed into the room, we have a baby to take care of, we've rushed into the room. Take a moment. So heart posture to you, what does that, just explain?
Yeah, we've talked about it all through this interview, and
Yeah,
and my heart posture is to be humbled, not to think of myself greater than anybody else.
yeah,
I want people to say when they've had an interaction with me or they've watched from afar, and that happens because of the industry we're in, I
yeah,
want them to say that I've listened deeply, that I was courageous and I carried courage and I helped other people. And all that comes from that inside where I say, you know, be careful how you stand,
Yeah.
because all this is fleeting and it could disappear in a heartbeat. And
Yeah.
what are you left with? What are you grounded in?
I have loved listening to you, Jacqueline. It's been such a great, gosh, probably over a half hour by now. But I have one final question because you bring so much joy to my own life, just listening to you
Oh,
and sharing this time with you. But what brings you the greatest joy?
yeah, joy for me is found in the simple things.
Mm.
A window seat, a quiet moment between the destinations, a little bit of licorice because I know it's not healthy, but a little bit of licorice because I'm savoring the win and the moment. I love those things. Those things bring me joy. You know, being with people brings me joy. Conversations, a shared joke, a really good sale, a belly laugh. Those things brighten my day more than probably I care to admit. But I'd be remiss if I didn't say that my husband brings me a lot of joy too. You know, we've been doing life and we've been working together for many, many years. Over 3 decades. We're almost close to 4 decades. That is insane to me. Okay. And so, you know, he still makes me smile and he still makes me laugh. But I would say the biggest and the deepest joy is my grandchildren, watching them grow and watching them grow in wisdom, watching them grow into who they're created to be. Nothing more
Yeah.
brings me joy than that.
Yeah. Do you get to see your grandsons often?
I have 6 granddaughters and 1
Okay.
grandson.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So do you get to see your grandchildren often?
You know, I'm so fortunate that I get to see them, and I'm just so happy. They make me laugh. They truly make me laugh, and they help me remember, "Oh, that's what it was like when I had a 3-year-old. I totally forgot." You know, because you move on in your stages of life, and I'm like, "Oh, I do remember being sleep deprived."
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Our grandchildren are small. All 7 are 5 and under.
Wow. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
That's
So
busy
it's
for
beautiful chaos. It's
yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
chaos.
Well, the parties together they'll just grow together. It'll be the family
Mm.
events. Yeah. Um, I loved when you talked just about the joy of the simple things because I think sometimes life is really hard. And I want to acknowledge that for some people. Find the
Yes.
little win today. Find the little win right now. If it's, a coffee, like you said, having coffee in the morning is a win for me every morning. And just
That's what I think.
yeah, you could use the word grateful. Just be grateful. And it
Yeah,
changes you to be grateful in the moment, grateful in the day, but the little wins,
yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
yeah. And there's science behind it and, you know, about just being grateful, but it really does something for your heart. And people, it resonates with people. You don't have to tell them that, you know, you're happy and joy and the simple things and the little wins. They want to be with people like that. They
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah. And they see it in you. They see People can see the posture of your heart, honestly, when you're
Yes.
glowing and you're listening and you're kind and yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, I
Oh,
feel like it was a little moment for Lisa. I'm just so thankful to spend this time with
oh,
you because I walk
oh.
away and I feel better. So I hope we will change more lives together and just listening to us. But this
I believe
sadly
we
ends our
will.
podcast, Jacqueline, and I'm
Oh,
hoping to one day come to Calgary and see you again.
I
But
hope so.
yeah, if our listeners want to engage with you, if they want to find you, what is the best
Mhm.
way? If you have a website or LinkedIn, or what's the best way to find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Jacqueline Clements. I'm on Instagram. I have a personal page. And then also our Legacy Makers page is on Instagram. That's where you can find everything. And then, of course, we have our website, tcf4productions.com.
And is that's obviously the name of your company, TCF4.
Four.
What does
Yeah,
that mean?
and you know what it stands for?
Need to know.
The Clements family 4.
See, now I won't forget that. What's your website? The Clements Family
Right?
Four. Yeah,
Yep, the Clements
TCF4.
family 4. Yeah,
love it.
when we started it, there was just the four of us. And our desire when we started the company was that we would all work together in the company at some point. And all of us and our daughter-in-laws have worked within the company somehow. It's been fantastic. It's been wonderful.
That's great. Oh, that's a great. See, I didn't understand the website before. Now I love it. Thank you for sharing with us. All right. Well, thank you again, Jacqueline. It's been awesome to meet you.
It was wonderful to be here with you, Lisa. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You are welcome. All right. Well, this ends our podcast, and we want to thank you for joining us. If you're part of Leader Impact, you can always discuss or share this podcast with your group. And if you are not yet part of Leader Impact and would like to find out more and grow your leadership, find our podcast page on our website at leaderimpact.ca. You can also check out groups available in Canada at leaderimpact.ca, or if you're listening from anywhere else in the world, check out leaderimpact.com or get in touch with us by email, info@leaderimpact.ca, and we will connect you. And if you like this podcast, please leave us a comment, give us a rating or review. This will help other global leaders find our podcast. Thank you for engaging with us. And remember, impact starts with you.